Well, hello. I'm just really struggling with these guitar songlet videos because of my crippling performance anxiety. It's not that I couldn't marshal myself to deal with my anxiety and get into a good headspace to perform. It's just that I have to set up this horrible and awkward and inadequate video and audio and all the problems I'm having just trying to get decent sound quality and balance the sound levels. And then the nature of my technical mind is to worry about the recording, to worry about the software, to worry about the connection. Because I worked in IT for at least a decade and I was very good troubleshooting problems that other people couldn't solve because I would care and worry about them. And you have to have a certain amount of, I don't think paranoia is the right word, but you have to have a certain amount of skepticism about all these claims about how the software works because it never works the way it's described or promised to work, and all of the problems exist in gaps around the failure of people to properly render and debug software. I love VLC. I shouldn't bitch and complain about things that I can get for free because I can't afford to buy it. I think a long time ago I would pay $10 here and there to this freeware when I could spare the money. I wish I could do that now. So I guess I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But this is the thing. If you're not an attention whore, I'm not trying to attack or denigrate people for whom performance is easy, regardless as to the quality of their performance. I think seeking attention makes it much easier to give a winning performance, but there's more going on in performance than just what attention whores accomplish. And while they might find success and get effortlessly laid at open mics, you know, they're not going to have music careers because they're not really dedicated to mastering an instrument or their craft. Okay, so I don't know why I care about how I perform, and although I was making some progress before COVID, by you gotta confront anxiety, and the way to overcome that is to play. And so I had an open mic, a great open mic called the Hootenanny, also destroyed by COVID, and I just think that the heart of that community of Fernwood was damaged by the loss of Logan's. God knows what it is now. It will never be what it was. And I would really like to thank Carol and Mark for lending her name to the best open mic I've ever been to, and the Tavern of the Damned, and the place where you fit in if you don't fit in. And even I struggled with that, but I was making progress and gaining fans, and I could have found some options to promote and further my own very late started career, but instead I in desperation, trapped in more shitty jobs, and finally realizing what had derailed and destroyed my life, and going back to university. And by the time I came back here, it was all gone. All the friends I knew had changed. It was just shocking, and I regret leaving Victoria when I did, because it's the thing that has cut me off from the last decent community I'll probably ever experience. So I'm hoping to return to the songlet videos. I tried to record one yesterday in a panic because all of a sudden I can't keep up to my 3 day routine. The days are just zipping by. It's hot. I may have found a new decent roommate. I'm going to check him for baseball bats because I'm not letting people bring weapons into my house. And I guess I'm going to have to be a lot more pushy about, what it is that my roommate is doing, and what my roommate brings into my house. But this young guy who has a job, and I just read him the riot act. I tried to be honest about my own circumstances, and and how I'm not an easy person to live with, but that's not because I aim to create conflict or be difficult. But I can't deal with the hyper animal bullshit and wallowing and disvaluing of people's words. I'm just sick of people. I'm sick of them. I'm sick. I'm sorry. I'm social. I'm an extrovert. And I just have to teach myself not to trust people, not to let them get too close, not to believe anything they're saying. Why do I have to do this? I'm not paranoid. I'm just paying attention. And I just want something better. I want I don't want people to tell me things that they think I want to hear and then do something else and then deny that that's what they've done. I'm not fucking putting up with that shit. Oh, well, I will yell you out of my, what was, out of what's the body zone? No, that's not right. Well, yeah, there's a word I'm looking for. I will yell you away from me or out of my apartment and out of the conversation. I'm incredibly well trained and humble and skeptical, but well educated person, particularly in the domains of science and philosophy, aligned with science, and particularly in terms of philosophy of language, in terms of debunking the endless lies of culture. So, I'm on Blue Sky, and that's very interesting. I like I've said in other things, I explored social media. I remember I took a look at MySpace when it came out, and my initial impression was like, this is going to ruin society. I mean, it was off the cuff and I didn't know, but I turned out to be prophetic there too. I mean, this is why people don't like me, because I, I'm too interested in dispelling other people's ignorance. It doesn't. I don't think I have final answers or special insight. I just think I have an expertise that should be valued more, and it's been thrown away because of my social position. But this is ridiculous. Just because a person doesn't have social power doesn't mean they haven't gained expertise. This is the endless bias of this anti-meritocracy. There's so many people faking their credentials and spending more time in getting ahead than actually properly engaging with the disciplines they're meant to be masters of, but in fact are only masters at rhetoric, sophistry, and manipulating other people to gain more higher positions of power. So, we've let the dark triad take over yet again. And I've written, my first work in philosophy, diagnoses the structural problem. I wish more people would read and reflect and ask me questions about that, because I think many of my works, old and new, are ahead of the curve in terms of both diagnosing the problems that it's our original sin to be trapped in. Like there's a double lie to the human ego. It's not just one lie, it's a lie about lying. And we call that culture. Now, could culture transcend this hyper animal wallowing we seem stuck in? Of course it can, but it hasn't. And so what we have is a mismapping of our biases, taboos, and inherent primate violence, our novel violence, our unique capacity to break out of small group consciousness and then facilitate orders of higher and higher social organization, except it's dysfunctional. and it was dysfunctional when it started 16,000 years ago. And with every leap of progress, it's just found a new way to be dysfunctional. This is a hard thing to grasp, that the problems of the world do not exist in anything but the human species' inability to understand that evil is an unavoidable outcome of human overcoming. And if we're going to overcome the overcoming, and learn to quell these dark, destructive, hyper animal, like this is something I'm hitting on more and more, are wallowing in sexual identity. Everything is up for sale now, and so nothing is invaluable anymore. And this is a problem. And this ties into the other thing I want to talk about today on Blue Sky, and the idea that social media is I get these guys arguing at me that social media isn't the right place for me to defend my work when I have no other place but there to defend it, and they just don't want to acknowledge that problem. But then they'll turn around and call me uncivil for pushing back against their hobbyist bullshit. I hate this anti-intellectual, not because I have a tiny ego or lack self-love. It's because of that. And I would respect anybody's credentials and experience, but mine matter too. And because I haven't been able to accrue power, fake power, to promote my views unilaterally, whether they're true or not, I'm being constantly disrespected, denigrated, and forced to deal with what are endless bullies. So this is the thing. I don't know how to get through to people here. The whole way we engage online is based on this naive and problematic semantic essentialism, and this is and a lot of people are powered by the claims of postmodernism to have completely debunked science, which is total bullshit. The problem with science is it has not provided its own ontological grounds. It's stuck in a moribund 3,000-year-old dead end of reduction to monism. But this is what fundamentalism does too. And so this endless battle between theists and atheists, I keep running into these atheists who think they're better than theists and think that they have no argument to make, and then they go on and they act like the worst fundamentalists. So if you're an atheist who thinks there's no burden of proof there, you're also an ignorant fool, and you're just as bad as the fundamentalists. You don't seem to know anything about the history of atheism, which is this idea of atheism as being anti-theist is very new, and would have been pushed back against even in the 1950s. So the great bulk of humanity has been God-fearing and God-loving, and sometimes it was gods, and they were realist about that. Not everybody was, but the spectrum of sophistication around what they meant, most people have no exposure to at all. And this ignorance and them being stuck in echo chambers. Like, look, if I'm doing this more and more, I'm not pushing my credentials or my expertise in anyone's face. I'm just trying to defend it. But if you don't have my credentials, if you have high school, you've done one job all your life, and you have an opinion, and you think because social media lets you spout that opinion that you shouldn't respect expertise, or that you're not a stupid dogmatist stuck in an echo chamber, how can people be so daft? If you can't define your terms up front, if you can't respect people who know the background, the thousands of years background, 3,000 years in the West, and even older in the East, it looks like, of course. I think probably both of those things emerged around the same time, and what varied was how they got documented. So I think maybe the West, because the East was a larger and more stable part of the development of technology and so on. So certainly China and Japan have been historically xenophobic and adverse to adapting the technologies of their enemies. They've had to play catch up. So maybe that is part of it too. A lot of people like to comment on how unlikely it was that what they call the backwater of Europe has come to this end where it took over the whole world through the United States of America, which is now voted in an orange Hitler. So this is the thing I hate about social media. It's one way. There's no intention to understand. If you gotta stop starting by thinking you know what somebody means by the words they used. This idea that someone can say something and then you attack some literal interpretation without questioning them about their use of terms or introducing yourself or talking about credentials. This is fucking sociopathy. The internet and social media is horrible. It's awful. It unleashes the worst of our impulses. And it has since the moment it created. I've talked about this before. My first experience watching a video download on the internet over a 14400 baud modem, waiting 40 minutes to watch this video, and it turned out to be fucking bestiality. Like, that's all I needed to see. And plenty of fish in this bullshit. All the internet does is let people lie and manipulate you. So this is the thing. Don't think you know what people mean just because you're some kind of semantic essentialist who thinks that the essence of a meaning is contained within the arbitrary symbol. This is bullshit, because if you're going to start posting anti-intellectual, anti-science nonsense, well, you're now playing both sides of postmodernism, right? So postmodernism is an argument against semantic essentialism. And I think I can reinterpret Derrida in particular. Postmodernism to me is just the text-based version of the absurdio, that reductive, logistic, monist Western science with its hope to reduce everything to some fundament in math. And I just don't think that's right. And the only way I can defend the alternative view is to defend a 20-year project that I can't find any peers who are willing to engage me enough to tell me why I'm wrong. You got to understand what people mean first. So this idea that you go online in some limited little stupid box, because it's all we got, there's no community, and unless you're already corrupted by the power you have to dictate norms as if those are facts. I don't know. I lost my thread there, but I just think there's just a lot of smart people who believe stupid things, and there's a lot of stupid people who are just too stupid to open their mouths. And so again, this is just another appeal, another attempt to get people to understand that we are going through a massive tip, an eye of the needle, and things are going to get so much worse before they get better. This is what happened during the Enlightenment, when science emerged to overthrow the epistemic bullshit of the schools, which were, of course, licensed by the church to continue to develop and defend epistemology in the context that served the church's long-term goals. Well, were those Jesus's goals or Moses's goals or Muhammad's goals? I mean, that guy was a bit of a skeevy tribalist. Again, none of these, all of these prophets would have been, if they showed up on the streets today spouting their glassy-eyed, peak experienced, informed nonsense, would all have been thrown into mental hospitals. Of course, we've shut all the mental hospitals down too, and unleashed worse nightmares on the human race. Hey, there's no kumbaya solution to existence, to the finite reality we live in. And we are, unfortunately, I fear, heading towards massive economic and social crisis, probably going to lead to war and worse forms of authoritarianism than this Orange Hitler bullshit. Like, Trump ain't going to last much longer one way or the other, and the sooner he dies, the better. But he is actively trying to make things worse. And this is the thing that the people, I gotta ask, if you can continue to support Trump, you're either too stupid to see what he is, which is a malignant narcissist with devastating self-esteem issues, and who has been given too much power. Like, my credit rating is shitty. I can't get anybody to fund anything. It has nothing to do with my honesty in terms of paying my debts. It's because I got locked out of my student loan account and forced to default. And now they're clawing back my GST while I'm applying for permanent disability. Fuck Canada. Fuck all fucking governments. All you do is serve the rich because you think that makes it better for the rest of us. You're all fucking dick-sucking, dick-licking, fucking billionaire ass-sucking assholes. And you all need to go. I have no faith in Canada. I have no faith in the US. I have no faith in democracy. I have little to no faith in most people. But one day we're going to have to wake up and pick up the pieces of the fucking hell we've created for ourselves. And the thing that terrifies me is that I'm going to have to go through this as I'm aging out in poverty and worse, vulnerability. And is it any wonder I'm perpetually anxious? And the worst part of this is whatever minor anxiety I had as a performer before COVID has been redoubled and retripled. And I'm at the point, I looked up drugs for people with performance anxiety. Like, the booze doesn't seem to help. What would someone please inform me? What do driven artists, people who care about mastering and performing and growing and learning, and in spite of that, they've just been shut out because I guess I started too late in life. And I don't know, I tried everything I could to find people to play music with. My whole life seems to be about me creating things that no one else wants. And so now I live in a world that's going off a cliff, and everybody seems okay with that. And do you think this makes me think less of myself and my value and the work I've done? No. But do you think I gain a hope of overcoming at almost 60 years old and on my way into a disability system that still won't keep me housed and doesn't give two shits about that either, when all I want to do is work? And I'm a teacher, and there's a teaching shortage, and I'm pretty sure even at this late stage I can be salvaged to provide some value there, but there's no vision for that either. I think I've covered it all. The thing I hate, I'm on social media, people telling me I'm not using social media the way I'm supposed to. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Idiots. This is another thing I want to talk about. Yeah, this is the key point. All this talk about AI and taking over, it's bullshit, dude. This is just surfaces. It's not reality. Computers do not create reality. They create maps of data that our stupid brains overdetermine into reality. It doesn't actually exist. And if you're not seeing with all this spoofing and fraud that you can't trust anything online, you can't trust an image of your friend, you can't trust an institution, you can't trust a link. We've been inundated with all these pointless, buggy ways of communicating. Not one of them well rendered, not one of them secured. All about the endless creation of fucking pointless revenue streams. The goddamn internet in 2003 became the last sick way to salvage this already bankrupt capitalism. And so all that's done is drive us closer to total collapse. Not predicting the future. But if you there's no worry with AI. You can turn the fucking power off. AI does not have hands. If we're worried about AI, we need to build in safeguards so that we can flip the fucking switch if it starts acting up, and it already is, isn't it? Because all we have is a model of the fucking dark triad, of the endless lies of culture. The data that we put into this system is nothing but what? It's 200 years of fucking cumulative human bullshit that people have believed. Most of it's proven wrong, and most of it is wrong right now, but we act as if that data is certain to allow us to model intelligence. The very idea proves how unintelligent we are as a species. You're all acting like that cat looking at a fish on a TV thinking it's gonna eat. If you're afraid of AI, you're afraid of your TV screen. You're afraid that if there's a monster on that screen, it's going to come out of the screen and rape you. That's how stupid you are. We have nothing to fear but from technology, but the fact that we continue to promote it as an essential feature of reality when it is just a superficial representation of everything wrong with human beings. This is going to have to do.